In this video, we'll use Live Assist for Microsoft Dynamics 365 powered by CafeX to trigger an engagement based on visitor behavior, on what the visitor's doing on the site. It's an incredibly powerful tool for promoting behaviors you want to encourage and interrupting behaviors you want to discourage. Perhaps the visitor has started making a purchase, but then for some reason changed his mind. Wouldn't it be great if we could detect that behavior and offer some assistance or an additional incentive to get the purchase back on track? Maybe the visitor's been perusing a high-value item for a long time. Perhaps they've questions that we could easily resolve with a chat and remove that friction that's preventing the sale. Now, there's a variety of subtle ways we can target engagements to specific visitor behavior and even build definitions for complex behaviors by combining these conditions. We'll explore a few of them in this video. Now, when designing behavior-based engagements, it's essential you have the data that details how visitors use your site, perhaps using something like Google Analytics to track behavior. Just a quick word of caution: if you're trying to interrupt visitor behavior and break them off from a particular course of action, you may choose a visually loud, proactive engagement that forces the visitor to interact with the engagement or to dismiss it, i.e. one that can't simply be ignored. Now, you'll want to use those engagements sparingly. Used too much, well, they can be quite annoying. Now, behavior is one of the two conditions that you can specify inside the engagement configuration, the other being location that we've explored in another video. And there are three categories from which we can build our behavior definition: navigation, e-commerce, and visitor journey. Let's begin with navigation and look at flow. Now, this criteria is based on the idea that your website has a number of flows that your visitors take through the site. For example, perhaps the sales flow begins when the user navigates to their shopping cart, and from there to the shipping confirmation, and then to the payment screen. Another flow could be a self-service process for paying local taxes. Perhaps it begins with the user entering their postcode, their zip code on the address page. Then they confirm their details on the confirmation page before finishing at the payment page. With flows defined, there are two flow behaviors that Live Assist can detect. The first is abandoning a flow, where the visitor starts on the flow journey but doesn't complete it. They've signaled strong intent to buy, but for some reason have changed their mind. A great point then to initiate an engagement. The second is where the visitor backflows. In other words, they begin progressing through the flow, but at some point they back up to a previous step. This behavior indicates uncertainty. Perhaps they have a question or a doubt about something. So let's see this in action. As discussed, to use flow control, we first define our flows. I'll click to edit the engagement visitor behavior and then click to add new. I'll name my new behavior and I'll give it a description. Click flow and then select and add new flow, and I'll name this one sales flow. Notice that a flow can be defined using pages or by using sections. If you've not seen it already, we've got a dedicated video that defines sections using JavaScript to set an engagement attribute. I'll define my flow using page URLs for the basket, the shipping, and the payment. If a step is optional, well, remember to uncheck the required step checkbox. Once defined, click to save, and then select whether you're interested in the user abandoning the flow or backtracking through the flow. Other navigation conditions include time on location, where we can target users who've spent longer than a set time on one or more sections of the site. Perhaps they spent 60 seconds in the watches section. Well, that to me means they're clearly interested in that product. We also have visited location, similar to the time on location, but without requiring the visitor to have spent a given time in that section. By the way, notice as we define more conditions, they're all logically ANDed together. Finally, there's about to abandon. Now, this uses Google Analytics and its historical data on how the user uses the site to make a prediction about when the user's likely to navigate away. Of course, to leverage this, you'll need to connect Live Assist with your Google account. Looking at some other categories, in the e-commerce section, we can use the value of the customer's shopping cart. As we've seen elsewhere, cart value behaviors depend on you having configured data tracking so that Live Assist knows how to get the value of the customer cart. Why not check out the data tracking video if you haven't already? Perhaps we only want to include visitors whose cart value is within a certain range. Or perhaps we want to catch the situation where a cart reduces in value. In other words, they've removed something, or perhaps emptied their basket entirely. With products in cart, we can detect visitors who've added specific products to their basket. Again, this requires data tracking to be configured so that Live Assist knows how to determine that product information, but we can use the product name, SKU, and category in our conditions. For example, perhaps a visitor adds a certain watch to their basket and we have a cross-sale promotion that we'd like to make them aware of through a content engagement. Now, what if the visitor went as far as viewing the product but didn't add it to their basket? Well, we have a condition for that too with viewed product. Last of all then, visitor journey. With visitor error, we can catch visitors who may have experienced some kind of error on the site. For example, perhaps an out-of-stock error, and we want to engage them and let them know we can order the item in from another store or something. With Engaged in Session, we can track visitors who have already interacted with Live Assist through chat or content engagements on the site. And finally, there's service activity conditions, conditions through which we can monitor and track user experience on non-sales, non-e-commerce sites. After having configured tracking, we can use the service activity condition to monitor the state of specific service activities, like triggering an engagement when a request loan activity transitions to the approved state. So there we are, hugely flexible, with the ability to describe everything from simple all the way to very complex and very specific visitor behaviors. Using behavior to target engagements enables you to unlock huge business value from Live Assist.